All right. Hi, Melinda. How are you going?
Hi, good, Sue. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having a chat with us today.
Thanks for organising it. It's exciting and it's a good conversation to be having right now. So it's good.
Yeah, for sure. So I thought maybe we could just start. Obviously, we're talking about mental health, and particularly in this time of being locked down and everything, how we can maintain mental health. But I just thought I'd ask you first if you can tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, sure. So I have two kids,
Mhm.
a one-eyed Labrador, and I was previously a piano teacher. So I was doing that role for 17 years, and during that time I also did some music therapy as a volunteer with Sydney Children's Hospital, and that was really great. And so I guess over that time I had kids coming in that were learning piano with Asperger's and autism, ADHD, things like that. And then going to the hospital and seeing kids incredibly ill, and seeing the power of music as a therapy at the time, I just felt like I wanted to um, move myself as a profession into some area where I could really help. So
Mm.
psychology came about from that, and so I've been a psychologist. Look, I studied and kept teaching piano, so it was a whole change of career that I did while I was raising my children. And then this year I got to open up Muse Psychology with you guys at Engadine, so
Yeah, it's
that's been
exciting.
great.
All right. So I just thought I'd ask you, what do you think are the particular challenges that being in this lockdown situation, the coronavirus, worldwide pandemic sort of pose for mental health?
Yeah, I think it's really tough on mental health because as humans, since the caveman days, we've had this instinct to be with people and interact as community, as a tribe, as a group. And right now, the way we're being required to live is not really in line with our instinct to be
Mm.
together. And you can see people are struggling to do social distancing or physical distancing because it's breaking many like lifelong
Mm.
habits. From a mental health perspective, I think there's huge amount of stress. There, people are losing jobs, people are changing their way of working, way of living. Um, there's financial strain, there's the emergency services who are under immense pressure, there's teachers who are trying to juggle their teaching from home and help their own children do their own learning, and there's just so much change along with sadness. I think that I know someone this week who was having a milestone birthday and is going to be celebrating it at home, not how that person had planned it. And, there's a lot of people have booked holidays and just change and sadness that comes with that, and anxiety, I guess, for the unknown. We like to know how our lives are going and feel like we've got a sense of control and um, plan and strategy, and all of that's a little bit up in the air at the moment. The sands keep shifting and we're having to keep juggling or sort of stabilizing day by day.
Mm. Yeah, I can totally relate to all those things you're saying there. I think particularly the uncertainty of the situation is pretty, yeah, we do like to be in control of things. So that's definitely a big challenge, I think. And the changing routine, just trying to get your head around, yeah, changing your way of living and your way of working and everything, and still trying to, um, you know, do your best in the circumstances.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
um,
So then, are there any particular challenges? Because your interest is particularly with children and teenagers. Are there any sort of extra challenges or different things that they might be struggling with compared to adults, or maybe the same things, but they might manifest themselves differently?
Yeah, I think that children and adolescents are used to, like, one of the big things for them is they're used to being with their friends 5 out of 7 days. Then they'll go to soccer and instrument lessons and things like that, and that's all stopped. And there's a sense of loneliness maybe for them. Then you've got the home environment, which is used to be the downtime, I guess, for them in their week after a day at school. And they're coming home, well, they're at home and they're learning, and they've got their parents constantly there, and they just aren't getting the break from that cycle, I guess, that they usually would. Plus, I think families are watching the news more often, so children are being exposed to the 24/7 news cycle more. Possibly they haven't ever experienced seeing their parents under the current stress and anxiety, worry that parents are feeling right now. So that's making children and teenagers feel unsettled, because they look to us for whether they need to be worried or not. They get that cue from us. And so I think that is probably or possibly throwing them off kilter. As well as children, all of us, we thrive on routine and predictability, and that's just been challenging lately for everyone. Routine is easier to manage, but predictability, not so much at the moment. It's, school's not stopping, school is stopping. School is only stopping for a couple of weeks. We'll be back after the school holidays. Now it's looking like it's going to be longer than that. So the benchmark keeps changing.
Yep. Okay. Yes, I agree. That's been my experience so far too, with both of us having businesses. I think our kids can see that, there's a few extra challenges going on at the moment, and that can be unsettling for sure. And at the same time, I guess it's also a learning opportunity for them to realise that even though you can have these hard times in life and get through them, and worry and things like that is to some extent something we all have to face, and it's learning how to manage it.
Absolutely. I think it is a great lesson for our kids at the moment. They're going to be more resilient. They're going to be stronger. They're going to grow during this time. So there are positives to them. They're going to learn to be more adaptable, flexible. So you're right. There is going to be some good outcomes for this, and maybe even a little bit more empathetic or understanding of people who have less than them in society. There's been panic buying at the shops, and my kids will be saying, can you get blah blah blah, which they like to eat, and I come home and it wasn't there, and so here's plan B. And they're having to realize that it's not always easy for everybody.
You can't just have what you want straight away.
Exactly.
Okay, so in terms of then how we can help our kids or help ourselves if we are, struggling with anxiety or worry or all those things that, we do struggle with them in everyday life. It's just ramped up, I think, in this current scenario.
No, I agree with you. And even these strategies are strategies that I have to use. So this is challenging for everybody, psychologists and everybody. So no one's immune, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. The best thing, I think, there's so many strategies that we can do right now to make things easier. The first thing is, if you've got any worrying thoughts that you find are stuck in your mind, consider, are they based on a fact or a feeling? So sometimes you might get a worry that's more catastrophic in thinking, and then really start to think, is there facts to support this, or is this just a worry feeling that's popped into my mind without really any basis? Ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario? What's the worst thing that can happen right now if I get my work submitted an hour later, or if the kids don't get to do their maths until 4 p.m. this afternoon, or if I have to buy this milk instead of that milk, or whatever. Just always ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario? But in terms of daily things that you can do. Getting out is really important. I know we need to remain physically distant, but going for bushwalks, going for walks around your street or runs, playing soccer in the backyard, jumping on the trampoline, all things that you can do while keeping yourself and your family safe is really important. There is meditation, the online exercise, which I've been loving, your online Pilates lessons, the 5-minute one for kids. I've actually recommended that to clients and also for my own children. And that understanding that everyone needs a little bit of their own time in the house as well. So you're going to be together all the time, but we all need some quiet time, and that's okay to say to the kids, right, here's an hour, I'm doing this, I'm going to watch my favourite TV show and you guys can watch yours, and let's reconvene in an hour. And setting a pleasure schedule. So setting a plan of maybe some things that you guys can look forward to on the weekends as a family, board games or cooking a really nice meal, doing some Just Dance together, playing Twister, sort of things that keep us moving and get some of the activity that we've lost in our lives. And lastly, look, I'm a really big fan of using social media at the moment. So rather than sending a text, I've been sending voice texts and FaceTiming friends instead of calling them. And there's been people doing drive-bys for birthday parties instead of thinking creatively, I guess, of how we can still keep the social interaction going, because that's probably the hardest change for us as humans at the moment.
Yeah, they're all really excellent suggestions. I might actually watch this again later and write them all down and just put them in a list for people to refer to. So are there any sort of websites or apps or anything like that might be helpful for people?
Yeah, so there's a guy called Russ Harris who is he consults to the World Health Organization. He was a GP and now he's one of Australia's leading ACT trainers, which is a therapy in psychology, and he has an app that he's designed called actcompanion.com, and that is a mindful app that you can choose which one that you would like to do depending on how you're feeling, and it'll give you a 5-minute meditation mindfulness type exercise. Great for kids, great for adults. At the moment he's given a code word for everybody to unlock that for free for 3 months. So the code word for that is together in capital letters. There's also Smiling Mind, and YouTube's really good just to also look at some videos on maybe what anxiety is, or and explain to us how we're feeling and why we're feeling that way, and just having that knowledge can be really empowering as well.
Okay.
In terms of people who are feeling like they need a little bit more help, there's, for kids, there's Kids Helpline, and their website is fantastic. For adolescents, there's Headspace. Then for adults, there's Beyond Blue and Lifeline. So there's plenty of others, but they're the big ones. So I would recommend those.
Okay, great. And if people do feel like they need to actually speak to someone like a psychologist, I guess in particular, what should they do? How do they go about coming to see someone like you?
Yeah, so anyone can see a psychologist without a referral, so you can just ring up and make an appointment. However, if you want a rebate from Medicare, which depending on the psychologist can range between $86 to $125, which means you would get that money back in your account, you would need a mental health treatment plan and a referral from your GP. There are bulk billing psychologists, so that you would be out of pocket, but you would not be out of pocket any cost for those. And then for people who are struggling financially, you can go and see your GP, because there's some government initiatives that provide psychology to people who can't afford it. And I think that's all the options at the moment. So plenty of ways you can get help.
Yeah. And if people don't, they can't leave their house or they don't want to, they can talk to you like we're talking to each other now. They can do a FaceTime or a Zoom or
Yeah,
probably a Zoom, really,
absolutely.
because it's secure.
Yeah. So, well, look, there's various platforms and each psychologist has their own platform that they will use. Telehealth is really accessible at the moment. So it used to only be accessible through a Medicare option for people who lived in remote regions. But until September 30, the government have made telehealth available for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see a psychologist who's using a platform like that really easy at the moment from your home, and you can get your mental health treatment plan through your GP via telehealth as well, to my understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much. That was really interesting, and I'm definitely going to check out that Russ Harris app.
Yep.
I might get you to email me the details so I can put it, in a link on the Facebook page later.
Will do. Perfect.
Yeah, and put some of those other strategies into practice as well.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And just probably on a final note, for any young children at the moment, if I could just give some strategies to help them if you're starting to feel them elevating at home, which is totally understandable. Things like water play, art and craft, thinking of an animal starting with every letter of the alphabet, putty, Play-Doh, and a massage. But nothing beats a really good old-fashioned cuddle as well sometimes. So yeah, just for those younger children who are really not knowing how to regulate their emotions right now, those might be some quick things: running their hands underwater or drawing with chalk in the backyard on the concrete or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yep. Excellent. All right. Well, thanks very much.
Thanks so much for having me.
No worries.
And bye, everyone. I hope everyone's really well.
Yeah, same here. All right. See you later. Bye.
See you later. Bye.